Imagine the thrum of a Harley engine revving under your seat, the sticky heat of a dimly lit club clinging to your skin like cheap perfume, and that electric buzz in the air when a riff hits just right, slicing through the haze of cigarette smoke and bad decisions. That's the world Girls, Girls, Girls drags you into, an anthem that's less a song and more a neon-soaked fever dream from the underbelly of 80s rock excess. Mötley Crüe didn't just write a tune, they bottled the chaos of their lives, shook it up with Harley fumes, and unleashed it on an unsuspecting public. But behind the leather and lipstick lies a story wilder than the lyrics themselves, packed with hidden gems that'll make you spit out your drink. Stick around, because we're peeling back the layers on how this track went from a boozy brainstorm to a cultural grenade, tossing in some facts that'll have you questioning everything you thought you knew about the Crüe. Let's rewind to the spark that ignited this firecracker. Picture the mid-80s. Mötley Crüe are fresh off Theatre of Pain, riding high on hits like Home Sweet Home, but drowning in a sea of their own vices. Nikki Sixx, the band's bassist and resident mad genius, later admitted in interviews that Girls, Girls, Girls was straight from their diary of debauchery. It's what we were doing, he said, hanging in strip clubs, roaring around on motorcycles, basically living like escaped zoo animals with record deals. The conception? It started in rehearsals, where guitarist Mick Mars was fumbling with a riff that just wasn't cutting it. Frustrated, he bails, muttering something about needing inspiration. Next day, he storms back with that iconic grinding guitar hook, the one that sounds like a chainsaw flirting with a power drill. Turns out his inspiration was an 8-ball of Coke and a bottle of Jack Daniels. The band dubbed him 8-Ball Mars for that stunt, because nothing says creative breakthrough like a night of questionable choices. Now dive into those lyrics, phase by phase, because they're not just random shouts, they're a roadmap to the Crüe's favorite haunts. The opener, Friday Night and I Need a Fight, isn't original genius. It's a cheeky nod to Sweet's 1974 track, Sweet F.A., which kicks off with, well, it's Friday night, I need a fight. Sixx, a massive Sweet fan, borrowed that grit to set the scene. A restless dude gearing up for trouble, grease in his hair, switchblade in pocket, but really hunting for something tighter, girls. Then comes the chorus. Girls, girls, girls. A chant that's equal parts celebration and obsession, listing strip joints like a perverted travel guide. Long legs and burgundy lips paints the sensory overload, the visual feast of dancers under strobe lights. But here's the trivia bomb. Those clubs are real. The Dollhouse in Fort Lauderdale? A Florida hotspot where the band likely blew tour money. Tattletales in Atlanta? Georgia's gift to late-night regrets. The Seventh Veil and the Body Shop on LA's Sunset Strip? Crüe staples where they'd rub elbows with other rock degenerates. The Marble Arch in Vancouver? A Canadian pit stop during tours. Crazy Horse in Paris? For that international flavor. And the Tropicana in LA, where Sixx claims he lost his heart, probably code for losing his wallet and dignity in one go. Meaning? It's a love letter to strippers, unapologetic and raw, capturing the thrill of the chase without the morning after sermons. What if, instead of glorifying this, the Crüe had gone the other way? Imagine Nikki scribbling a ballad called Nuns, 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 long habits and rosary beads, dancing down in the convent strip. Yeah, that would have tanked faster than Vince Neil's sobriety attempts back then. But no, they doubled down on the absurd, threading in lines like trick or treat, sweet to eat, on Halloween and New Year's Eve, turning holidays into hedonistic hunts. Yankee girls. Ya just can't beat, but they're the best when they're off their feet. A punny swipe at American charm, implying the real fun starts horizontal. It's irreverent wordplay at its finest, satirical jabs at the rock star life where excess is the currency. Fast forward to the album Shenanigans. By '87, the Crüe were a mess. Heroin habits, car crashes, the whole rock apocalypse. Nicky was so deep in the junk, he missed his grandma's funeral, channeling that guilt into Nona, a soft spot on the record. But for girls, they hunkered down with producer Tom Werman, their go-to guy from Shout at the Devil and Theatre of Pain. Recording was a grind. Drums first by Tommy Lee, that human octopus behind the kit, then Six's bass thump, Mars' gritty guitars, and Vince Neil's raspy howl last. To amp the authenticity, they mic'd up real Harleys, band-owned bikes, for those revving sounds that bookend the track. The album cover? Two of those beasts front and center because subtlety wasn't in their vocab. Release day? May 15th, 1987, but the single dropped 4 days earlier, backed by Something for Nothing. Shenanigans ensued. They threw the listening party at the Body Shop, one of the clubs in the lyrics. Imagine suits and scribes mingling with dancers, awkward as a priest at a peep show. For promo, they dropped a limited edition X-rated single with a cover showing bare breasts, poking the bear that was the PMRC, those moral watchdogs who'd already flagged their bastard as offensive. Satirical swipe. In a world where Tipper Gore's clutching pearls over lyrics, the crew just hands her a magnifying glass. And the video? Directed by Wayne Isham, shot at the Seventh Veil, because the Body Shop's no booze rule killed the vibe. Band shows up, films with topless dancers, gets so sloshed they bail to a Mexican joint for taquitos and shooters before rapping at Isham's studio. They submit a raunchy cut to MTV first, full nudity, knowing it'd get axed, making the edited version seem tame by comparison. Genius or juvenile? Both, and it worked. From there, Girls, Girls, Girls rocketed to mythic status. Chart-wise, it peaked at 12 on the Billboard Hot 100, 26 in the UK, even cracking Canada's top 20. The album? Number 2 on Billboard 200, quadruple platinum, over 4 million sold. But the rise was more than numbers. It became the strip club national anthem. Walk into one today and 9 out of 10 times this blasts while someone's twirling. Obscure fact, Vince Neil opened his own joints called Girls, 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 one in Japan, another in Vegas, billed as the first rock and roll strip spot. The track's riff, bluesy and borrowed from Aerosmith vibes, recaptured their early edge, per critics. It fueled the glam metal boom, inspiring a wave of hairspray heroes chasing that Sunset Strip sleaze. Ripple effect? It poked holes in 80s conservatism, making rebellion marketable. What if the crew had cleaned up earlier? We'd have missed this gem, and Lady Gaga might not have penned Boys, Boys, Boys as a cheeky response, her take on glitter and rock and roll boys. Self-roast. The band nearly imploded making it. Six's heroin haze slowed writing to a crawl, turning sessions into therapy for addicts. Pun time. They were so strung out, the only rise was their blood pressure. Now the legacy and lasting weirdness. Decades later, Girls endures as a time capsule of unfiltered rock hedonism. It's in video games like Guitar Hero 5, letting kids shred to stripper anthems without the cover charge. Cultural ripples? It defined the era's excess, but also foreshadowed the crash. Post-album, the band's addictions peaked, leading to sobriety pledges and Dr. Feelgood. Weird trivia. The album's Wild Side tour was a circus of destruction, but Girls became the soundtrack for everything from bachelor parties to ironic workouts. Satirical jab. In a world gone PC, this song's a relic, like a dinosaur fossil with fishnets. Fascinating, but try explaining it to your grandma without blushing. What if strippers unionized to this? Girls, Girls, Girls picket signs demanding better tips. The meaning evolved too, from literal lust to a satirical mirror on fame's absurdity. Respect to the crew's genius, they turned personal chaos into platinum poetry. So there you have it, folks, the unvarnished saga of Girls, 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 a track that roared out of the 80s like a Harley from hell, leaving skid marks on culture. If this had you chuckling, nodding, or Googling strip clubs, mission accomplished. Hit that like button if you're feeling the vibe, subscribe for more deep dives into rock's wild side, and drop a comment. What's your craziest Crüe story? Until next time, keep the engines revving and the riffs rolling.
Girls, 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 out.